Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Fire Emblem Three Houses, and we're practically in the end game now. So I made a slight mistake. There's one more support to get through, but before this we have the decisive battle. And this is a very nice callback where he said, you know, about the ring and stuff like that, and it's what he gives it to you right before he leaves you.
Looks like
It's very, very sweet, and again, it makes sense as to why it would be the end. You want to pursue a relationship once all the fighting's over. Yeah, so it is sweet, just a nice callback to Geralt. So who do I pick? Someone I love, Again, I had a lot of choices, but I know who my heart belongs to in this case. I choose Dorothea. If it wasn't Dorothea, I would have gone with Edelgard, and I was so tempted because you can't do it in any other pathway, whereas I could do Dorothea in other ones. But that's the thing, Silver Snow, I've already decided who I'm going to marry. And it's not Dorothea again, so, you know. So we got one more support to check out, Petra and Ferdinand. And that one's quite sweet too, because it goes on about, you know, obviously the future and stuff like that. Petra doesn't know if she wants to go back because she's made so many wonderful friends here and stuff like that. And it's like, you know, she's going to be lonely and stuff like that. And like Ferdinand does admit, like, I'm going to feel like that too once we all go our separate ways. But then he's like, you know, I'm going to work to be an ambassador so that, you know, I can not only increase the relationships and make the bonds between Bridget and Fodlan better, but also to, you know, see Petra and, you know, stuff like that. So I think that's very, very sweet. And I think that works really well. Because again, in all of like, because even if it's Bernadette ending, he kind of acts as an envoy. Ferdinand, he goes a lot of places, he travels a lot, which makes sense for his character. And so on. Like with Bernadette, her ending, Bernadette doesn't travel a lot, but, you know, like, she's always happy when they're back together. So obviously they're kind of a separated couple because of their different goals in life, but whenever they're together, it's really, really sweet. And obviously I'd imagine with, like, you know, Edelgard and Thing, they both travel together, or he goes on diplomatic missions for her as she's running the Empire. And with, say, with Petra and stuff like that, it's really, really nice to probably, you know, travel to Bridget to go see her, and she travels to Fodlan to go see him, back and forth, back and forth. That'd be really, really nice. Again, this is just purely off what I know. I don't know, the only one I know is the Bernadette one, but I imagine, like, with Dorothea, maybe they travel the world, Dorothea, you know, and she's by his side, and maybe Dorothea, you know, things, but all better yet, like, maybe Ferdinand slows down a bit, he doesn't travel as much, he's more of a stay-at-home person, just to take care of Dorothea and be there for her, and something like that, you know, that type of thing. I imagine maybe if, like, him and Hubert got together, it would be they both maybe work for Edelgard and they both go out of their way to help her. You know, he does more in the background, whereas Ferdinand's more forefront, that type thing. Oh god, seeing Petra blush. And seeing these characters blush sometimes. So again, it's cool that how Ferdinand's ending does kind of relate to other characters, but it differs. He doesn't just go completely off the walls. It's kind of like Lynn's one, where, well, Lynn's one varies, because again, if it's Kent, Will, and Wrath, obviously Lynn goes back to the plains, but if it's Edelwood and Hector, she stays behind, because, you know, being married to Edelwood and Hector, she's got a bit more responsibility on her hand, and she can, you know, she's probably more comfortable having the title, being a lord and stuff like that, because she's got someone to support her. Whereas with Kent, Will, and Wrath, she doesn't have that support, you know, that immediate support, so she's happy to go leave her land to them and go back to the plains. So again, it's interesting to see how it changes, but how some endings do say the same. It just varies depending on the character you're with. So, oh yeah, so also promotions. So I don't actually change them to these classes, I just do it for the stat bonuses. Because with Dorothea, obviously, I don't want to change her off because Dancer. I want to keep the Dancer ability. Because again, I checked, if you do change her off, you do lose the Dancer ability, which kind of sucks. But I did it for the stat bonuses. But again, I love the outfit. And Mercedes as well. This is kind of this is kind of silly on my part. Because I did the same for Mercedes. I promoted her. But I wasn't finished with her, I wasn't finished with her class line. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, just wasn't finished with her upgrading her, I wasn't finished unlocking her skill, so I didn't change. When in hindsight, it's like, you know, you really could have gone with like the extra magic and stuff like that, and just done with the extra like ammunition for your spells. But oh well, it's a hindsight 2020 type thing. At least next time, you know, stuff like that. So again, I passed. You gonna do anything with it? Nope. Yeah, like Sify, I tried, but it didn't work. So yeah. And now it's time for the final battle. And it's pretty cool because it's also, like, again, aside from just, like, because again, it's really interesting to see the differences in Dimitri and also Rhea. It was also because when I learnt about Rhea and also seeing this, Dimitri and Rhea kind of fall into the same trap of not being able to let go of the past. That's why Dimitri and Rhea have the same similar perks and flaws. Obviously, there are differences. You know, Dimitri, you know, it's because he lost everyone. But at the same time, Rhea lost a lot of people too. So there are similarities. In the same way, Claude and Edelgard, they're more tactical leaders and so on. And they, what you call it?
Mother.
You know, they don't really have personal stakes, so to speak, but they also, you know, they look at the situation more risky. And sorry for the weird video blipping, I think it's just to do with my capture card. So yeah, Rhea's new armor's back, and yeah, if you remember, she's actually the person at the beginning of the game, whose real name is Seiros. Yeah, Rhea's real name is Seiros, you know, she just took the name Rhea. I gotta say, I really like Seiros' design, because aside from looking, like, it's got that thing where it looks partially, like, does look quite beautiful, it does look quite, you know, serene and graceful and cool. But at the same time, when you look at, like how, you know, pale she is and how, like, you know, bleached she looks, and especially, like, the expression of the portraits, she looks still quite intimidating because she looks like almost like a ghost, so to speak. Like, you know, with the other Rhea, with Rhea's normal portrait, her, you know, there was a bit more color in her face. She looks a bit more human. Here, she looks way more ethereal, and that's kind of creepy in a good way looking. Yeah. So again, it's cool. Again, I like Rhea's design, and again, I can't stress this enough. I think Rhea is an excellently written character, and I think, like, the voice actress is fantastic, and I can sort of understand where she's coming from, especially because I've got more context now. Do I still agree with her? No. Do I still hate her? Yes. But I can get behind, alright. I can definitely understand her better, and I do like many, many aspects of her. Again, you can hate a character, but also appreciate the same at the same time. Again, because usually with Fire Emblem, when someone says, I hate this character, you know, you don't usually like anything about them. And that's, because again, you know, usually when you say you hate someone, you're not privy to being positive. But with Rhea, it's a case of, I don't like the way she is, but there's so much about her I do like. I can't help it. Yeah, there's a lot I do like. And again, this is an interesting plot point too. Seeing Dimitri just being a bit more, you know, still a bit more, you know, bit more of a leader. And also, like you see later on, he's not so privy to using such awful tactics. I mean, Edelgard does say that, you know, he's not super chivalrous anymore. He will be exploitative and cruel. But, you know, Mr. Dimitri definitely has it together still. He's, you know, he's smiling and so on. And it's really cool to see that. It's really interesting to see that, the fact that, you know, with the right help, you know, with other people by his side, he can make a bit of a difference, you know. Because Cornelia didn't betray him, because he didn't lose to Do, and because he wasn't in prison, he didn't absolutely lose his shit. I mean, losing an eye probably didn't help. So again, it's an interesting just tidbit, just to see, like, because again, when you see a character in one perspective and another, that's why I'm interested to see how they portray Edelgard in Blue Lions. And maybe that's probably why so many people hate her, because again, if she's portrayed to be so evil and diabolical, as I've heard, then I can understand them hating her. But again, I can also have people loving Edelgard, because, like, the person, like I said, the friend who I talked to about this, she was so surprised at how Edelgard was, you know, how much better she was portrayed this time. So it's really, really cool. Just again, I really like Three Houses for that. Again, I think the replay value is outside of just it's outside of just playing new houses and getting new chapters. It's actually seeing things differently and really, really putting into perspective. Because again, I think this Fire Emblem game really drives home how war really gets to people in the world, but also how these characters change so much, and depending on who you pick to follow. And I really, really like that. It's just cool. Yes. I think the Fire Emblem games have done that before. Like, you know, if you did Sacred Stones, Ephraim and Erica's Wife, you notice different things. If you do Blazing Sword, you get, like, the Hector exclusive conversations, which are very good. And in Radiant Dawn, you get to see from perspective. But here, it really drives it home. I really like that Three Houses did that. Clearly, they prioritized the narrative and characters first. And I mean, other Fire Emblem games, I'm sure, have done that too. Like, I'm pretty sure with Echoes, they really, really prioritize fleshing out the story, adding new characters, and so on. And with, say, I guess with Path of Radiance, I reckon they were really, really prioritized with the story too. But here, it's like they really, really, really thought long and hard about it. It's not perfect, don't get me wrong. I still think, you know, there are underdeveloped elements, and not just things, also Blue Lions too. Because again, it's trying to juggle so much, because you're essentially trying to wrap up like 3 different storylines in a certain number of chapters, because you're trying to wrap up like not only Blue Lion's story, but you have to wrap up what happens with the Golden Deer. You got to wrap up what happens with the Black Eagles. You got to wrap up what happens with those who suffer in the dark and the Church. You're trying to wrap up so much. Again, Three Houses could have easily been 2 separate games. Like, you literally, like, oh, you get part 1, a couple of years later, oh, here's part 2. Stuff like that. They could have easily done that, but they decided to cram it into one. And I think it works because if you ended part 1 where it did, it would just feel like a really, not anticlimactic, but just so open-ended and weird, so to speak. So, yeah. Okay, so this map. Before I continue, I need to take a break. My voice is starting to get a bit... my mouth's hurting again.
They will join the battle at some point. Be ready.
Alright, so here. First of all, I love the aesthetic. It reminds me a lot of... that chapter in Awakening. I think it's called Renewal? The one where you face Basilio. No, Basilio's on side. You face begins with M, I believe. I can't remember what the character's name was. Mustafa. Yeah, Mustafa. You face him and you yeah, it's the rainy thing. And again, it works for this chapter because it is somber no matter what. Like, even if, like, you were to... Well, it's somber because, you know, if you lost, you're lost. You know, that's the end. But it's also somber because, you know, Edelgard has to kill Dimitri. Because, again, that's the thing. Edelgard doesn't have beef with Dimitri. She's got beef with Rhea. She would no way let Rhea go. It's like, no, Rhea, fuck you. You're dying because of all you did. But, again, because, you know, she doesn't really have beef with Dimitri. I mean, she's not obviously like, oh, I super love you or anything like that. She'll happily kill him if need be. A nice one, Bernadette. A good start. But she's not to the point where she'll just be like, you know, she won't forgive him or anything like that. I reckon if Dimitri, like I said, Dimitri did come to his senses and said, alright, we surrender, please spare the rest of us, Edelgard would be okay with that. I don't think she spared the church because they're the main enemy and that she doesn't want to take risks, but the kingdom isn't. It's just that the kingdom are siding with the church. It's one of those things. So what else I was going to say is, again, the chapter itself, it's kind of... I'm trying to think of... Because, again, I know they've done this before in another chapter, but I can't remember which, where it's essentially separated into its own... Alright, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Annette's Paralogue, where each section is kind of like its own small ensemble. And you know what this chapter is comprised of? A lot of... The chapter is very much a sense of a lot of boss fights condensed, because the enemy variety here isn't that huge, and there aren't that many of them. But the enemies are strong, and they're usually surrounded by a boss enemy, whether it be Sylvain, Dedue, Dimitri, Seiros joins the fight, so, you know, you got her joining in, and also the giant, like, golems. So, for this chapter, I recommend some of your strongest units in terms of just pure DPS, definitely. That's why I brought Lysithea and Hubert, and, like, Petra and Edelgard. But also, I definitely recommend movement. Movement really helps here, because, you know... it's easier to get across the battlefield and go Petra. And fuck you! Yeah, got a brave weapon, might as well fucking use it. So that's, you know, so that one I definitely recommend. Really focus on being able to move as fast as you can and having extremely high DPS. So obviously Ferdinand's got the movement, Lysithea and Hubert, they got the DPS, because sweet. So, you know, the chapter itself, it can be a little daunting, just don't, you know, thing. And again, it's also just like, it's also one of those chapters where it balances story elements into it quite nicely too. Just with how it works. Because, like, you see, yeah. So Sylvain's by his side and Dedue's there and so on. And yeah, this happens. So obviously they kind of lost it because they're desperate, so they pull a... Yeah. Oof, they pull a... quite the desperation tactic. They turn themselves into demonic beasts. It's like, holy shit. So it's like, you know, it's just, they kind of went kind of nuts. And Hubert was like, oh shit, did the finger betray us? No, they're just desperate. And even there, here's the thing, Dimitri's also not down with, like, this strategy. Dedue's idea, because he figured we need all the advantages we can get. And Dimitri's like, dude, don't do that, that's fucking terrible. But, you know...
If we lose here, the kingdom falls.
You know, Dedue's a bit more, you know, Dedue's happy to do this, because, you know... Obviously, they both have a moral compass, but Dimitri's more about nobility and chivalry, and so on. So he's not against the idea, he's just like, he's not happy with it. And again, it shows, because again, I reckon if it was Fingery, he wouldn't give in two shits. Based on what I know, he would have been like, oh, just great, bigger advantage. Now he's like, no, don't do this. So also you've got to take the points to stop the reinforcements. Yeah.
We're in danger.
So obviously move quickly, because again, it's easy to get dogpiled. But for me personally, I recommend splitting up the army just to take on separate sections to avoid getting dogpiled. That's just how I feel. Yeah, they try to pull a Majora's Mask on us, and it ain't fucking working. But thankfully, Ingrid is, you know... Where did the sudden power buff come from? Maybe it's just the enemy I was facing. The one I tried to hit initially was really had better defense than usual. I don't know. Yeah, and there goes the bolting. Again, the Grimoires fucking hurt, man. That's why I look forward to using one in the Blue Lands, because I'm definitely going to get Lysithea, Dorothea, and, well, maybe not Dorothea because of level difference, but Mercedes and, no, Marianne's Holy Knight. So yeah, I'm going to get them to Grimoire, so that looks to be interesting, because I heard the Grimoire cast is actually really good if you're a pure spellcaster. Again, if you're someone like Hubert or, I heard Lorenz is a good Dark Knight, so they can work as Dark Knights, and I heard, and obviously, like, apparently Marianne and, who is it? Who is it, actually? Linhardt. Apparently they make for good not Silver Knights. Holy Knights. But, you know, like, whereas like Sivir, who doesn't, like, make no use of her physical stat or anything like that, doesn't really care for it, so she's just going on the magic TPS. So, again, it's cool. It's definitely cool. And here we go against that fucking Grimoire. Because they look very stylish. I do like it. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the character, like, some of the initial character designs helped inspire certain classes. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Dorothea's design inspired Grimoire, and if Mercedes' design inspired Bishop, or something like that. And I'm talking about like, the post-time skip stuff. Same way, trying to think of other characters that could have inspired. Like, Caspar's design probably inspired the Knight, how Knights should look. And so on, you know, that type of thing. Yeah, sorry, I just sped up the footage. But yeah, so this chapter don't get too you know, thingamajig. Just take it well. Good gambits do help. I don't think they're 100% necessary, but because of the golem-like enemies, it definitely is something to consider. So just bear that in mind. Just really bring your strongest units or those who can move really damn fast. Yeah, again, I think the capture card was kind of being iffy today, which is why there's certain glitches elsewhere. Ow. The fucking fireballs, man. But again, it's also interesting to see how desperate the kingdom is, the fact they're willing to do this. Just go absolutely nuts and turn themselves into monsters, essentially. Just for the sake of winning. Because again, I know like desperation tactics are a thing in war, but seeing it happen like, you know, right in front of you, it's just, yeah, it's interesting to say the least. And here we go. Yeah, I didn't bring Caspar because, yeah, his DPS is great, but that's also just being physical DPS. And he, again, his movement's limited. Like, obviously, Edelgard's movement's limited too, but the one thing she can do better than Caspar is she can just tank so well. So, again, she's got that going for her. And also, I think she's required.
Oh, let's break it!
And same way, I didn't bring Linhardt because Mercedes heals just as well. Well, not as well, but almost as well with better magic DPS. And Dorothea can dance, so, you know. Yeah, look, exactly. Magic DPS. Go for it. Boom. And obviously, Lysithea purely for the DPS, because Lysithea's DPS is fucking incredible. I love it. But you know, things change. Like in the next chapter, I actually bring Shamir along rather than having her in the background because the chapter's not so big inside. And, you know, mounted as in not as a horseback units aren't as useful because of how the terrain is a lot more restrictive. Whereas being a sniper and having additional range is actually really damn good. At least that's how I felt. Wait, so how is this thing not broken? That's what I'm wondering. Like, surely, yeah. I'm just looking at it, it's like, how, yeah, oh, right, there's one area left, but, you know. Yeah, so I get the crit here, but I don't add it to the crit count, because as some people pointed out, Death is essentially a critical skill for mages, so even though it's not called a killer one, it has the same properties, so, you know, it's kind of cheating. And he looks cool as a warlock, I like that. Really, really cool. And there's me with the bow. Boom. Wow, that was really damn quick. Did not expect that when you hold the A button. Yeah. I mean, again, it does the annoying thing, which I don't like, where it has respawning units out of nowhere. But at the same time, it makes sense because, again, you know, obviously, Seiros, you know, you saw her at the beginning, and they kind of hinted at this. So again, it's not like the game didn't tell you. It's just like, oh, come on, I don't need this right now. Yeah. And now she's a Falcon Knight. Ingrid's performing way better, because before Ingrid was good, but she wasn't like amazing. Here she's like doing really well. Not Petra good, but just really damn good in general. Again, some master classes in this game are good. Falcon Knights are damn good, Grimoires are damn good, and I heard Dark Knights I think are pretty good. But it's just some of them, it's like Great Knight sucks and Mortal Savage doesn't really work either. Master Knight should be something that you, like, you know, you should want to become a Master Knight and stuff like that. So obviously you give that to Edelgard. You shouldn't like, again, you shouldn't stick to 4th tier. You should ideally want to go to 3rd tier. Like, if they want to make Great Knights better than Paladins, I'd say keep with the, I'd say keep the move, just really going in on the defense, attack, and HP. Maybe have a res drop, I don't know. Or, better yet, have the option for Gold or Silver Knight. Have Great Knight be a, whatchamacallit, do what they do in Radiant Dawn. Have Great Knight be, well, sort of in Radiant Dawn again. How the fuck? That was a 90! Sometimes I'm not sure why I even bother. What they should have done, I feel, is you have the choice of Silver Knight and Gold Knight. Silver Knight focuses on, like, Lance rank, whereas Gold Knight, no, sorry, alright, so, Great Knight and, you have, Great Knight and Paladin, just as it is normally. And, yeah, fucking Sylvain dodged. So, yeah, he's got a lot of HP. And he's got his Lance of Ruin, of course. But, as I was saying, so they have Paladin and Great Knight. Similar stat spread, both 4th tier classes. Obviously, Paladin's better at speed, skill, and, you know, res, and a bit more movement, whereas Great Knight's got more HP, more strength, more... Oh, there goes... Ow. And he's slow as shit, but he hurts. Look at that, 44 damage. Sorry, it was 48 hit. And then finally, Ingrid's, yeah, I thought it was a fitting end to seeing Ingrid kill him, just because, again, they bickered a lot, and it's like, this is what you get for hitting on my grandma, you fucking perv. Yeah. And it's interesting to see, because obviously, you know, not everyone in their respective houses is buddy-buddy, and obviously Ingrid, like, she'd probably have a hard time facing off against maybe Dimitri or Mercedes, because they were friends, but, you know, I know she has history with, like, Felix and, Sylvain, but at the same time, Sylvain pissed her off and Felix was a dick.
Such a fool.
Yeah. And there goes Sylvain. Hopefully he'll find a woman in the next life.
This is how it ends.
Yeah, fitting that he was the first one to go in this chapter.
I'm going on.
Again, it still feels a bit somber, especially because I know more about Sylvain now. And even then, Dimitri cares for Sylvain, whereas like if it was the time skip, early time skip one, he would have been like, oh, you were useless, that type thing. Oh man, Lysithea in the next part, oh my god. She's such a huge help. Which, yeah, we'll see. As I was going on about with the class lines. So, I was just kind of thinking, oh man, again, nice one, Edelgard. I was just thinking in terms of things, so obviously you got Paladin, Great Knight. Great Knight's got way more HP, defense, and attack. But then you have the choice of Gold or Silver Knight. And Silver Knight, like, you know, it's a lot more based in, like, let's say, Lance rank has to be really good at maybe... no, that's Bow Knight, doesn't make sense. Alright, so Lance, let's say Lance and Sword rank, whereas Great Knight is, you need, like, Lance, so Gold Knight is where you need Axe and Sword rank, and stuff like that. But, you know, the difference is, you know, they both have the same move, but, you know, obviously Silver Knight probably has a way better res, and maybe one of them has Aegis, and maybe one of them has Pervice, or something like that, you know, those type of skills. So... you get two choices, but it depends on your preference. Do you want more that's more defensively purpose and has better, like, well, alright, one that's better for physical attacks and one that's better for, like, speed and magic attacks? No, I think that would have been just a better option. I like how in Radiant Dawn you had, even though Gold Knights were better than Silver Knights, but just the options to do so. And yep, here's Seiros. Yeah. It still calls her Rhea. It's like, didn't you just call... because even people refer to her as Rhea. It's like, my name is Seiros. It's like, yeah, but the dialogue box, but my name is Seiros. But then, that's another plot point I actually remembered about Thing. Because, again, Rhea keeps going on about what the humans did. And even Edelgard points out, yeah, like, that was years ago and I didn't do any of that, so why are you having to go at us? And again, I know why Seiros is upset. I did learn about it. I know why she's upset, and what happened was quite tragic. But it's still that thing, it's like, you're blaming an entire race for this. I mean, if you want to have a go at Edelgard for, you know... disturbing the peace and stuff like that and starting war, that's fine, but you're blaming her for doing something she didn't do, which is like, oh, you people stole my mother from me. It's like, yeah, those people were years ago, and so on. Like, I haven't done anything like that, and she can't, and that's one of the things, she can't let go of that. She can't let go of that, what happened. And again, Dimitri's the same, neither of them can let go of the past, and it haunts them. I mean, granted, you know, what happened was horrible, but it's still a case of they can't let go, and that's what ultimately is their downfall. Or that's what ultimately hurts them the most, the fact that they cannot let go. I'm not saying, like, oh, they're weak for letting go of for not being able to let go, or they're stupid. No, I'm just saying it's what causes them a lot of grief, the fact that they can't let go, and it's also what causes them to go kind of off the walls. And it's like, I'm just thinking like, yeah, and I'm Lysithea, so fuck you. But yeah, so it's an interesting comparison how both of them, while being some of the more charismatic, caring, and nicest people, also, because they're so strung to the past, and can't move forward, and Rhea doesn't really want the world to move forward. She can't let go of it, and she becomes so berserk. You know, they both become feral, so to speak. Again, like, well, from what I've seen, like Claude and Thing, they don't go feral. They're just, you know, they're just trying to conquer. Their emotions are prohibited, two people would say. Oh boy. Yeah. So, all right. So that's the end of that part, ladies and gentlemen. So next time we're definitely going to see the end to Dimitri. Rhea's gonna, Seiros is gonna fuck off because someone's gonna kick her in the ass, and Dedue's gonna have a kind of unpleasant end too. Oh boy, it's just getting darker and darker. Until then, thank you all very much for watching. I will see you next time. Take care and have a wonderful day.